artist, self-employed life is very like feast or famine. Things are either really good or you're like, ramen again? Again? Okay. When was the last time we had a vegetable? I don't. But you're just like, this is the life that I built.
We're in West Dallas and we're at the studio of Sam Lau, and she's an artist. She works on all kinds of things, painting, tufting, sculpture. We're gonna go inside and learn more about her process. Hi, Sam.
Hi.
So tell me, so I understand, I think you grew up in another state and then came to Texas later, right?
No, so actually I grew up here for the most part. So I actually grew up closer to Fort Worth in the like historic Hanley district.
Okay, so you're from this Dallas.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Went to East Hanley, went to Hanley Middle, and then right before high school, my parents got divorced. So me and my siblings and my mom moved to Florida to live with my mom's family. So my entirety of high school, I lived in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Oh, okay.
And then afterwards, I came back to go to UTA.
Okay. So tell me, what was it like being a young Sam as an artist, growing up?
For me, the way that I was raised was that art is a hobby that you do on the side.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
So it was never like, oh, this is a thing you're going to do with your life. It's just, this is a thing that you can do and that's cute or whatever, but what's your real job going to be? So that was always very discouraging. It wasn't until I was in college that I met actual working artists. I had a painting teacher who was really incredible, who was like, yeah, I'm teaching you how to paint, but I'm also out here doing murals and like actually living this life. And then also meeting Jeremy while I was in college, and like he was one of the first working artists that I met, and I was like, oh, so this is something that can be done, and you guys have been lying to me. Interesting. But yeah, it was never, I'm not gonna say it was discouraged at home, but there was lots of, oh, hey, you still doing that art shit?
Yeah, that's for my family too.
Yeah.
That's cool, but are you going to be a doctor or a lawyer?
Yeah, like that's how I ended up going to school for, originally I went to school for advertising, realized I absolutely hated that. And I was like, okay, what's the art adjacent business I could get into? And it was graphic design. So I ended up majoring in graphic design, which was okay, but I knew before I even graduated that I was not gonna end up in somebody's agency, doing graphic design. Like that was just not where I was gonna be.
When I first encountered you, you were performing.
You can't look, but you can't touch. This is the swag show represent.
This was like maybe 10 years ago.
10 years is accurate, yeah.
So you're a musician, you're a multidisciplinary artist.
Yeah.
You paint too, you do sculptural work, you do the carpet style work.
Yeah.
Tell me how you got into making visual art.
Visual art was always the start. Definitely with going to school in graphic design.
Right.
Jeremy was actually the one that taught me how to paint. And I had tried painting before, but I tried watercolors. And watercolors is the absolute worst thing to start trying to learn how to paint with. That's
not
one.
much control.
There's no control whatsoever. You're like, oh, this is horrendous, and I will not be a painter. But he taught me to paint, and I was like, oh, okay, acrylic is much better. A far cry from trying to move this water around the page. So moving into some painting, and then I've just always been sort of a collector of creative abilities. As much as I, get very tied into the idea of this is what I make and this is what people know me for making, I'm also like, but what are they doing over there? That looks fun. How can I try that? But visuals was the first start. And then I've always had a love for like vinyl toys and like sculpture in that way. So trying my hand at sculptures. And then the music actually came about my last year in college. I couldn't afford to go. I was in my literal last semester, like 2 projects in already, and did not have any more money and could not pay my tuition. And it was like really depressing, obviously, because I'd already been in school for so long.
Yeah,
like
very stressful.
Yeah. So at that point, I didn't want to do any sort of like visual thing. I was very like turned off from the idea of art, but I had friends who were making music who were like, hey, just come to the studio. And I've always been like a little bit of a writer and like poet, and like, I did the spoken word thing and stuff. So it was very easy to sort of take all those feelings and translate them into that form. But yeah, I ended up doing music for not too long. I think it was ended up being like 5 or 6 years, but it was so much fun and just a really amazing outlet to have. And then from there, after I had my daughter, the idea of being in sound check at 9 p.m. and at the club at 1 a.m. performing was just like, no, thank you. No. And then the pandemic happened and I discovered Tufting, and it started as a pandemic project and just really morphed into this exercise sort of in my need for control and my also need to feel closer to artwork and like have that sort of like vulnerability of being able to touch something and having people touch your artwork when it was finished. And that's kind of where I've been now. And lately I've been tying back in some of the sculpture and like getting more into the 3D and this idea of art really taking up space and being like something that you move around and not just something that your eyes sort of like rove over and then you forget about.
You do lots of different styles of art, but it seems like, you know, when someone sees your work, you can tell that it's your work. How did you develop this colorful style?
I actually started trying to put sort of constraints on myself. I was like, okay, you're gonna pick a color palette and you're going to like just work within shapes. I find a lot of the times, like I would get really tied up in the comparison of like somebody who's painting realism and like portraiture and stuff, and never feeling super confident in doing that or that it was good enough. And then also just the breaking down of a thought or emotion into a shape. So the visual nature of my work is actually meant to exhibit this middle space when you're creating, where you've got a lot of thoughts and ideas that are coming at you at the same time, and all of them are competing to be what gains your attention the most. And working in that space has been more freeing, I feel like, than trying to really work on something that's more like photorealism, so to speak. Mostly it's really just, I wanted something joyful. I wanted something that jumped off the wall and made you want to get closer and made you want to touch it. Sometimes art can be very, very buttoned up, very definitely serious, very elitist in a way. And I really wanted my work to be more playful and more joyful and more nostalgic, and just like, what about the art that we were making when we were kids, where it was just free and you were just like, I can use all the colors, I'm gonna use them all. I'm gonna put this over here and this over here. And I feel like for me, that has been a much more joyful way of making art.
You both do murals. Tell me about your first mural.
So my first murals were actually out here in Fab Yard. I was learning how to spray paint at first, and I was like, oh, this is just like a bigger like painting, like it's totally fine. Yeah. And then not too long after that, I want to say that was 2020, 2021, I got into Wild West Mural Fest, which is a mural festival that happens here in West Dallas, put on by my friend Will Heron, and really just to like beautify the neighborhood and like add more. And I ended up with the entire side of a building, and it was huge and it was terrifying because it's like right on a big busy road, and there's like literally like a 6 to 8 foot gap between the building and this 3-lane road. So it was very disturbing in that way, but it was also like very exciting to be like, okay, like I'm able to put my work in this very large showing right next to people that are driving by it every day. And the amount of people who are like, oh my gosh, I drove by this. And oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. I drive by that all the time. I look at it like, you know, when I'm sitting in traffic on that road. So that was really amazing to like be able to put my work onto a larger scale. I'm not doing as many murals as I am like tufted pieces, but I'm definitely like expanding my mural project and have been able to like work on some really amazing pieces. And for me, murals are some of the most accessible forms of artwork. Like anybody can walk by them or see them or drive by them. And, you know, I feel like that can be a really amazing like entry point for a lot of people.
What did that look like for you becoming a full-time artist?
It was terrifying for sure. It was definitely scary. For me, the idea of being a full-time artist was terrifying because I am very much one of those people who craves security and safety. And
Yeah, me
like,
too.
yes, and the idea of not
Health
having,
insurance.
yes, the idea of not having a stable paycheck where I know, okay, I worked this many hours, this much money is going to hit my account. I know that, is like really scary in a way that I don't think a lot of people understand. Well, I mean, you know, people get it, but it's like, just like, oh, I'm doing this by choice, not like I got fired and now I have to figure out what's going on. But the idea of jumping into that by choice is like, oh, there will be no one to blame but me. And I had actually tried it when I was making music and it did not go well. I ended up getting a job again. So it almost felt like, in a way, you've tried this before and it didn't work. Like, you're insane. But at the time I was working in construction, I was actually doing designs for fire sprinklers, like fire sprinklers in buildings. Yeah. And it was so stressful because in my mind, I'm very much a worst case scenario person. All I could think about is like, if I've designed this system incorrectly and they install it like this, and then it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, somebody could die because I was wrong in my job. And I was like, this is stressing me out, dude. I can't like fathom this amount of pressure. And they're like, it's not like there wasn't people checking my work to make sure I was doing it correctly. But in my head, I was just like, oh no, what if I ruin this? And I was just like, I know I don't want to design fire sprinkler systems forever. Like, this isn't what it is. And I happened to have like a big commission come in, like one of my first big commissions. And I was like, well, one, I need more time to work on this. I can't be at the office every day. And two, here I am getting this opportunity to at least give me a little bit of a safety net and buy myself some time to like see if I could make it work. So I discussed it with Jeremy. We talked about it and he was like, it's your turn. Like, we're good. So it's your turn if you want to go for it. And I did. And it's been obviously stressful, but it's my own stress. It's like, I'm fully in control of my job for the most part.
Yeah.
We always joke like it's the artist, self-employed life is very like feast or famine. Like things are either really good or you're like, ramen again? Again? Okay. When was the last time we had a vegetable? I don't know. But you're just like, this is the life that I built.
Yeah, and you have to learn a lot about business too.
Yes. I do feel like my art education was very lacking in the business aspect.
I hear that a lot from people.
Yeah, but I mean, you hit the ground running and you trip and stumble and fall and get up and you figure it out.
Yep, you learn as you go.
Exactly. So it's been like 4, 5, going on 5 years now. So I'm very grateful for being able to do that. I know that's, you know, not every artist can say that, and I'm happy that I'm one of the ones that can do that.
That's wonderful. And I see, so you've been tufting a lot. Tell me a little bit about the process of doing that. What is, tufting, how does that work?
So tufting is the same process that's used in rug making, but instead of using it for rugs, I make, you know, touchable wall art. And it starts on a frame, and there's a backing fabric
that's a frame behind you?
Yes, so this blue frame. So you can also work on a smaller frame, and what happens is you stretch a piece of backing fabric over the frame, and then you use what's called a tufting machine, and it sort of inserts the yarn into the backing frame. So that's how I make the image and make the design. It's a very, like, I teach workshops occasionally here in my studio, and I have to tell people it's a much more physical medium than they think. Like, they're like, yarn, oh yeah, knitting, crochet, it's dainty, it's soft. No, you're using your whole body. Like, there's times where I have a big project and I'm tufting for hours on end, and I come home and I'm sore, like in my back and shoulders, because I'm holding this vibrating machine for hours on end. Yeah. But I really love it. Like, it can be very zen, and sometimes it can be very frustrating, and I'm like yelling at my yarn because it keeps tangling and like won't stop. And you know, some days you just put it down and you're like, I'm going home. I'll put in an extra hour tomorrow. Like, I'm not doing this. Yes, we'll come back to it. Okay, we're clearly at a loss here. We'll stop here today. But yeah, I think the thing that always gets me, no matter how often I've been tufting, is when you're done tufting, you're not done. So once I finish tufting everything, I then have to apply adhesive to the back of it to make sure the yarn stays in place. I have to cut it off of the frame and then hide all of the backing edges. For me, because I make wall hanging specifically, all of my pieces have wood cut backings that fit the shape of the piece. So I have to make sure those are cut and then painted a corresponding color to match the piece, and then attach the tufted piece to that, do all of the trimming and fine tuning and moving little fibers to make sure they're exactly where they're supposed to be, and then like hanging stuff, and then I'm done. So it's like, it's not like doing a painting where it's like, okay, I'm done painting, maybe I add a seal coat and then I'm finished. It's like, oh, I'm done with the really physical part, and then I have to spend, you know, however much more time actually like fine tuning everything. So I still am just like, oh yeah, I'm done tufting. And then it's like, girl, you still got 3 more days of work on this. What are you celebrating right now?
Wow, I didn't. Yeah, I did. I saw the video of you kind of putting the pieces in, but I didn't know there was so much else you had to do.
There's a lot of, it's tufting and there's lots of like extra that happens. But I mean, I still enjoyed the process. It's just one of those where it's like, you compartmentalize pieces and then you're like, oh wait, not finished.
Well, tell me, what advice would you give 18-year-old Sam?
Oh man, I would give 18-year-old Sam the advice to don't be afraid to be seen trying. I feel like early on I was very, again, with that safety and security aspect, part of that for me was I can't let people know that I don't know what I'm doing or that I'm not, you know, sufficient at something. So it was very much a, oh, I'm not good at that, I'm not gonna try it. And I'm definitely not gonna let anybody know that I'm not good at this. I just won't even put myself in that position. But I wish I had tried sooner, like tried things sooner and just been like, yeah, let's figure it out, dude. That for me, I feel like would have probably changed the trajectory of where I am now. But you know, things happen as they will, and this is the ride that I've been on, and it's been fine. So, but yeah,
that's definitely relatable.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down and doing this.
Yes, of course.
Thanks for watching. And if you like videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe, and be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok.